Cheers, sports fans. Welcome to the best preview show in the land, where we focus on action in the DStv Premiership. We look at the English Premier League and also speak all things, legendary with the Hollywoodbets legends that will be coming through, a special legend, of course, that will be coming through later on in the show. And I will be joined by three legendary figures, starting off, of course, with the man that is responsible for Orlando Pirates having that star on that jersey. That, of course, is the Legs of Thunder, Sikhosana, who was, on the money, spot on with your predictions last week,
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sizwe.
Yeah.
I think I was lucky. Lucky. But
lucky,
yeah.
You say.
But I think with Stellies, yes, they didn't have a good game as much as you'd always expect them to. But for them to get a draw and eventually winning on penalties, I think the most priority was just to lift that cup. That's what they just wanted so much.
Well, it had goals within the 90 minutes. It had a bit of drama as well. Went to extra time, to penalties. What did you make of the final on the whole?
Well, for me, not a good final in terms of football-wise, but I mean, both teams, Umufuni Cup, Sizwe, you always grind results. So for me, being to see fluent football, that you'd always want to see. I mean, it still is, what you see used to playing just to draw you guys in the middle of the park and then let loose of the guys, the Rainers, because they've got pace. Yeah. So it was tense. It was so tense that both teams had to sit back and wait for each other. That's why the score was just 1-1, but I think it was a good game as well to watch, considering both teams not the best in the country, but of course, showing it in the cup final that they really wanted this Carling Cup.
Well, we congratulate both teams for getting to the final and congratulate Stellenbosch as well. Now, le prediction yako ukulumenge Pirates Neros, and you said Pirates, and seems as though Maputi Kenyans has got problems with Eros.
Yeah, kakul. I think ngiyabona ngathi amavila yaphuma kuleya nqola kaMaputi, but
six losses in a row.
6 losses in a row. It's so bad. But let's hope he will fix things up, because after the game, when he was talking about the game himself, you could tell and see in the face that he was not happy. He talked about they were trying to hold Pirates, trying to go pound for pound with Pirates. Normally, as a coach, you always want to get the result. You don't compare yourself with the team. You always want to have the edge over the other team. But I think there was a little bit of respect that was given to Pirates. Hence, that's what I saw, because when you're losing 5 games in a row, you go play Pirates at home, it's always going to be difficult, and that's what I paid. But not a bad showing from Arrows. I mean, losing 2-1 to Pirates. I think maybe they might turn the corner, but I'm worried they are losing a grip in that top 8 spot.
Entertainment, drama, Swallows Super Sport, Swallows now with problems. 3 losses in a row. There's talk behind the scenes of money being an issue. We want to
yabona la ekunentuthu khona kunomlilo. That's what is happening at Swallows. If players are not happy, the results will show, and this is exactly what is happening. I mean, this is a team at one stage, they were sitting 3rd on the log, and now they are just going down drastically. I mean, it's not a good scenario that Swallows. I think they fix things up now before they just lose it, because what happens with Swallows in terms of relegation. So we don't want to see the Bates going down again. I think we really need them in the PSL, so they must fix their house and put it in order.
Yeah, we certainly do need them in the PSL. Now, looking forward at the fixtures that will be coming up today and tomorrow. First up, let's talk Kaizer Chiefs, Richards Bay. Chiefs looking for their best run of form this season, looking to make it 3 wins in a row. Richards Bay, they're running the risk of losing 3 in a row. So the balance here is quite interesting.
Kakul. But I will fancy Chiefs to go to get this one over Richards Bay. The fact being they're still motivated after winning 2 games in a row, and they're playing a team that is struggling at the bottom. They're second from bottom, and also not playing good football because of the problems within the Richards Bay technical area. So I think a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. So this is exactly what I see in Kaitano Tembo and Vusimuzi, all being the head, the co-coaches. Yeah. This co-coaches thing, sometimes it's a problem, because you need somebody that will lead and take responsibility of the team in terms of winning or losing. But yeah, let's see how it goes, but I fancy Chiefs winning this one.
Now, another hot game to look forward to. And this is a hot game. Over the years, they've given us entertainment, goals, and drama. And that's what we're hoping for in this particular fixture. SuperSport United at home against Mapagani.
Yeah, you look there. I can maybe take the focus out of the team and look at the two coaches in terms of the respect that they give each other. So I think it's going to be more of a tactical game than what you'd expect, because you know what SuperSport can do and you know what Pirates also can do. But this one I can say I'll sit on the fence and say a draw is imminent later today.
Okay, if you see a draw, it's one thing. Do you see goals in this game?
Yes, there
or
will
do you
be.
See them cancelling each other out?
No, there will be goals. There will be goals.
Oh, sure.
It might be 2-2. 2-all.
Yeah.
It might be 2-all.
Because in the past they've given us 3-2, 2-2, 6-0, 5.
Yeah, they've been scoring each other. I mean, it's a game to watch because you know goals are galore. So yeah, why not? I'll sit on the fence and say 2-all. 4 goals at least will be there in the game.
Potential for game of the weekend. Ile Pirates and SuperSport. Potential. Now your potential for game of the weekend. Cape Town City up against Mamelodi Sundowns. Sundowns, we know 100% record. In Cape Town City, they've done well to be there, thereabouts. Leo Benanja.
Yes, it's Sundowns, Moibuga, man. They've got 3 games in hand. They lead with 7 points. And then Cape Town City, at one stage, Sikhosana last Kulumangai, Gutina, Ibambi umbrella la Papezu. Now they are number 4. So there is also not something going well in Cape Town City. So I think Sundowns is going to have an easy win in this one. I mean, they're going to win 3-0.
3-0?
I say 3-0.
Well, as long as you got goals in entertainment, that's complaining. So, I'm showing my prediction. Chippa United, Polokwane City.
Polokwane City to win.
Golden Arrows, Galaxy.
A draw. A draw.
Royal AM Swallows.
Royal AM to win.
The State Chiefs, they just win. Chiefs win.
Chiefs winning.
And SuperSport Pirates.
A draw.
And then City, Sundowns, and Sundowns 3-0.
3-0 to Sundowns.
Why this one you give the scoreline?
Because Sundowns will score.
One team is going to win, but you don't give us a scoreline. Why are you so sure there's a scoreline? And plus, keep in mind, Sundowns is playing away from home.
You know, Sundowns, I don't know how to put it, but I mean, the anger is still there. You know, if you've had somebody who once moved you from that number 1 position, you'll always want to make sure that you teach a lesson. So that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, Sundowns are going to teach Cape Town City a lesson.
So you're saying Cape Town City will walk the line here?
They'll be in trouble.
Well, as long as there's goals, there's entertainment, there's plenty to look forward to in the DSTV Premiership this weekend. Hey, so next week, my predictions are going to be as good as this week. So that's our look at the DSTV Premiership. Keep in mind, we still have another 2 legends coming your way. On the other side of this, we look into the English Premiership with another man that, like Jerry Sikhosana, scored goals and made the world go round with the goals he scored. That, of course, is Shane McGregor, who helps us break down the EPL.
Check these guys. Let's show them how to do that. I see it. Let's have a
your feet like this.
Let's see how you play.
Your feet like this.
Welcome back to Game On now. Well, we had one legend who is a former Pirates legend that helped us get through the DSTV Premiership. The man who steps up now, of course, is a former Chiefs legend and, of course, had that legendary partnership up front at Kaizer Chiefs with one Fanny Madida. Joining us now is Shane McGregor. Shane, thanks so much for your time. Now, looking back at the English Premiership last week, the game everybody was talking about, Liverpool, Manchester United. We expected goals, we expected drama. There were 7 goals scored in the match before. Wasn't to be this time around.
Yeah, you know, it was one of those games, you know, in betting terms, I went with Liverpool.
Yep.
I watched the game and I thought I was watching another league, to be very honest, where no goals were scored. But anyway, yeah, they had 34 chances, 34 shots a goal, and they couldn't score one. It's one of those games, and Man United had the better chances.
Best chances, yeah.
So that's football, you know. You've got to look at it and you've got to take it on the chin. They're still unbeaten at home in a very long time. The last time they got beaten at home, Liverpool, was against Real Madrid in Champions League. So they're still unbeaten at home. 4 draws. I think it's 20 wins, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah.
Still a good season, yeah?
Still a good season, but it's one of those games where it just doesn't go right for you. No matter what you do, you tried, you changed, you brought different players on. Nothing seemed to work.
Tell you what, at the end of 90 minutes there, all Manchester United fans were breathing a huge sigh of relief at having to walk away with the 1 point. Now, let's keep it at Manchester United as we look forward in the English Premier League now. Manchester United away to West Ham. West Ham have been great of late. In their last 6 home matches, of course, 5 wins, 1 draw, so they haven't lost in their last 6. United, when you look at their last 5, 1 win, they've lost 2, they've drawn 2. It's the United way of late. How do you see this game panning out?
Well, it's come up at a good time for West Ham. You know, obviously they played midweek in the cup game, and they played a lot of reserve players. They got beaten by Liverpool 5-1. Obviously concentrating on this game. They're going to be playing United. If they beat them, yeah, they go above them in the league. So by the end of this week, and even though Bruno Fernandes, the captain, the so-called talisman of Man United at the moment.
So-called, he says.
Yeah, so-called. I still don't think he's as good as he makes out to be.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short is if they get beaten by West Ham, which I do think is going to happen, West Ham is going to go above them in the league. It's going to be a long season for Man United. No matter which way you look at it, West Ham are in form, and when a team's in form, and even though they haven't got their striker who's out injured, they're still scoring the goals. So I think West Ham will get the result over them, yeah.
Well, Tottenham Hotspur up against Everton. Now, here's a game that for me has all the signs of an entertaining game with goals in it possibly. Tottenham had a great start to the season. Everton have had a great run of late themselves. And it's got the makings of one of the games of the weekends possibly.
Probably, yeah. It's a game to look forward to. You know, if you look at the Spurs team, they're a little bit inconsistent at this stage and through this season. You know, they win games and then all of a sudden they lose and they draw. But I just feel that going into this game, both teams are going to be entertaining, but there will be a draw involved.
I'll throw a spanner in the works then. Yes, they're unbeaten in their last 4. They haven't conceded in their last 4.
Yeah,
and amongst their victims, Newcastle and Chelsea.
You must remember Newcastle, a lot of players injured, a lot of players out, so there's a big difference with that. And Chelsea are so up and down. You don't know which Chelsea team is going to arrive on the day. I mean, you really don't. So I understand what you're saying, but you've got to concede a goal sooner or later. And I do feel that there will be a goal conceded. It might be 1 or 2 all, but I think it will be a score draw in this one.
All right, let's keep it moving. And the game of the weekend, the one everybody's talking about. 2 sides playing exciting football, looking good this season, and up there with the very best of them in as far as putting up a run for the championship at the end of the season. Liverpool against Arsenal. Wow.
Great game. This will be the most entertaining game that you can see. Even if it's a 0-0 draw, it'll be very entertaining. A little bit more attacking football. So for me, this is going to be a great game. Arsenal have been scraping through. They haven't been at their best. They are a good team. I think they'll go very close in the league this year. But I'm going to predict, and I hate to say this, I predict a Liverpool win. As a Liverpool supporter, you know, I don't want to put the eye on them, but I do think Liverpool get a result against Arsenal.
Just on entertainment value, when you consider their last 2 games, 2-2 scoreline, 3-2 scoreline, 9 goals in the last 2 games. Just on entertainment value alone here.
Exactly.
Are we guaranteed quite a game here?
We're going to see the same thing, yeah. You'll see goals, that's one thing. And I do think that they learned their lesson from last week, Liverpool. And Arsenal always score goals. You know, that's one thing about them. They always do score goals. It's the way they play. Be a good game.
Now, City away at the World Club Championships, playing with the likes of Pesitao and Al Ahly and such. What does that do for a side that still has to come back and battle it out against teams that are in good form?
For City, it's a good time to have gone away because they weren't playing at their best as well. They were struggling along. It was a good time to get away. It's a break, which is going to be good for their players. Yeah, they're playing in world football, but it's a good time for them to be away. I think they'll come back refreshed and looking forward to the games that they've got going.
Well, we're looking forward to the games that are coming up this season and looking forward to some good entertainment as well out in the English Premier League. So those are 2 legends that I've sat alongside me, McGregor, as well as Sikhosana, goal scorers. On the other side of this, another legend, of course, an ambassador of Hollywoodbets, who made his business about stopping men such as this from finding the back of the net. Find out who joins us shortly. We continue with Game On and introducing a Hollywoodbets ambassador who, as a goalkeeper, is one of the few over the years here in South Africa that has had the ability, of course, to sell tickets as a goalkeeper, fill the stands as a goalkeeper. He's the man who was affectionately known, and is affectionately known, I should say, as Spider-Man. That, of course, is the man who's played for Pirates or for Kaizer Chiefs, I beg your pardon, including Mamelodi Sundowns. Have the pleasure of introducing Brain Baloyi. Brain, go ahead, Bob. No stress, no stress. So glad to have you in our company. Firstly, I want to talk about your success in football. You played for two huge clubs, Chiefs and Sundowns, and you've also played for the national team. When you look back at your career, so many highlights, what do you say?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Cheers.
Pleasure.
I'd say I'm very happy that, when I look back, that I had such a very, good career, and had the best of times, and I used to enjoy myself. I watch these boys today playing sometimes. I know football and professional sports is a stressful game, but I watch them stressing so much and not having. I used to have so much fun. I used to love diving. Used to love diving around, and I played at Kaizer Chiefs for over 13 years, and 7 years at Sundowns. But national team had some of the greatest moments in my career at the national team as well.
Now, right now you're focusing on developing the youth in South African football. How important is that to you, and where are we in South Africa in that regard, developing youth and making sure we get the best footballers possible?
Yeah, I'm focusing on developing the youth, and we are really far behind when I look at where the rest of the world is. When I look at right now, how many players really we have in the big leagues in Europe, and when I look at such things, and I always ask myself, what is it that we're not doing right, that we need to do to change? Talent we have in this country,
no doubt,
no doubt about it. Throughout my career, I had so many coaches that would come here, big coaches coming from Europe, big coaches coming from South America. And when they would have an opportunity to go into our townships and see young boys playing football, and they would tell you they've never seen such talent, natural talent. So for me, always I said that then it tells you where the problem is. The problem is in our administration. The problem is how we are nurturing this talent. And for me right now, when I look about some of the biggest challenges that we have, I look at Lyle Foster. He had a big problem with mental issues. And when I see such things, I always ask myself, how many of these kids in South African football are having such problems and they're not being addressed? And for me, so one of the biggest things that we focus on with the development with our academies, we focus a lot on the mental side. Because for me, such things, you always have the luxury of having the hindsight where once you are not there anymore to see and to start thinking and seeing, okay, biggest part of professional sports is mental, more than the talent itself and the physical. So I think that's where we're lacking, where I think we need to spend more time on the mental side of things. Then we'll have more players going to Europe.
I have to ask you about the Hollywoodbets Super League. Right now, sitting with the champions, the current champions, being African champions now twice. How big an impact is Hollywoodbets having on the Super League, on the women's game? And of course, Sundowns, not only champions on the women's side, but they've been Champions League winners on the men's side and the African Super League champions as well. But let's start with the women's game here and the Hollywoodbets Super League. What is Sundowns doing right to a point where they're putting South Africa on top of the map in club football?
I think one of the biggest things is they have the proper scouts. I think they have proper infrastructure at the club already. And I remember, when I was back then, when I retired to Sundowns 2011, and there was a guy, his name was Brian, who used to coach the ladies. And at the time, most of the other clubs were not taking ladies football serious. And so it's something that, it just didn't start just yesterday. They've been doing it for many years, and they've invested time and money. And again, I think, but the biggest thing with ladies football, when I look at it, where does most of the talent comes from? Mostly it comes from our universities.
Yeah.
And so then again, Sundowns has the right scouts to scout these players, but the biggest chunk of the talent from ladies football, it comes from varsities, and that's why you see even most of the. I always say to people as well, if you watch ladies football and if you watch most of the guys, the ladies that go on and play in Europe, and I know it's not easy to follow the same model with football. I know we do have varsity football, but it's not easy to follow the same model. But if we did, I think even some of the problems that we have later with footballers when they retire, then we would have less of them, because now you have a lot of people that would come from football would have had a second career that they would have
outside of football, and have studied at varsity. So great point being made, of course, by Brian Baloyi with regards to ladies football and the contribution varsity football is having on South African football on the whole, starting off, of course, with the ladies side. Brian, we'd like to thank you so much for spending the time you have with us. We hope to invite you again in the future and to pick your brain going forward, and love the work you're doing in giving back to the game.
Thank you very much. Great pleasure.
So there you have it, as we break down the DStv Premiership, the EPL, and also just have a great chat with a legend of the game in Brian Baloyi. Now, we've heard from our three legends on the day, and well, I can safely say, and as far as today, we've spoken to the culture, the true culture of South African football in Brain Spider-Man McGregor, as well as Legs of Thunder in Sikhosana. So that is it from us here at Game On. From me, Sizwe Mabena, and the rest of the team that is behind the scenes. It's click, click.